One of the coolest features of the A7 Mark III and the FS5 Mark II is the ability to film in slow motion. Slow motion works by filming at a higher frame rate and then slowing down the footage back in post-production or in camera. Essentially, if you wanted to add emotion to a scene, or maybe you're trying to do something creative, filming at a higher frame rate is a good way to achieve this. Filming at 60 frames per second allows you to film twice as slowly as when you film at a regular 30 frames per second. And of course, 120 frames per second allows you to film 4 times as slow. Depending on the country setting, the basic frame rate is different. For example, in a PAL region, the slow motion will be 100 frames per second, whereas NTSC region will be 120 frames per second. The A7 Mark III can record up to 120 frames per second. Furthermore, the Pro camcorder FS5 Mark II allows for up to 240 frames per second at Full HD. This allows for some amazing smooth slow motion when recording video. Slow motion is particularly effective when filming something with a lot of action, such as sports, faces, people or animals. They all look great in slow motion. But don't just take my word for it. Go out and experiment with different frame rates to see what works best for your personal style. In the case of 120 frames per second, you can shoot continuously without limitation. In the case of 240 frames per second, you can record up to 8 seconds in a single burst on the FS5 Mark II. But this is not restrictive when shooting at these high frame rates, because 8 seconds of action when replayed at 240 frames per second will generate 80 seconds when played back at 24 frames per second. There are 3 triggering options on the FS5 Mark II. Start trigger is fairly self-explanatory. You press record and the camera records 8 seconds into a cache memory. It then buffers and writes that data to the SD card. End trigger is the option which only FS5 Pro camcorders can do. This could be very effective if you're shooting action and you want to record a slow motion sequence of a specific event. As you track the action and a specific event happens, you can hit record and the previous 8 seconds would be moved from the cache to the card. Half end trigger is similar to the regular end trigger, but with only half the maximum record time. It's important to remember to set the shutter speed correctly when filming in slow motion. If you're filming slow motion at 100 frames per second, set your shutter to as close to 1/200th as you can. When shooting higher frame rates, you will need to adjust your exposure accordingly. Another creative feature of the FS5 Mark II and the A7 Mark III is the ability to record at lower frame rates, such as 1 frame per second, which would allow the action to be greatly sped up, creating a time lapse to be recorded directly into the camera, allowing for immediate playback after recording. Hi, I'm Dan Lenny. Thank you for watching this tutorial. You can find other useful tutorials in video creation by clicking the link shown. Be sure to click and subscribe to let us help you enhance your skills and be a great video creator.